John, hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. So happy to talk to you about This Is Us in the final season and the Miguel episode coming up very soon. The
Yeah,
Miguel, Miguel named episode. Um,
yeah,
I wanted to know about something very curious because, when you joined the Air Force, and
hmm
then went into acting when you were, military, how does that affect you in terms of your career arc?
the Air Force was always going to be a stepping stone. I think for me, just become an adult. A lot of men in my family had served, and I always kind of longed for that and longed for the opportunity to have that kind of rite of passage. Um, and it also was a great place to get an education. I studied theater while in the Air Force while active duty, and so the goal was to always become an actor. And what the Air Force did for me was, instilled initiative and discipline into everything that I do. You have to take the initiative to get anything done, and to become an actor, it can be tough to get that done to become a professional actor. And so having an initiative to figure out how to do that, because I didn't have any support in Los Angeles. I didn't know anybody. And so that, and then also the discipline to stick with it and to not quit, give up when it got hard, or when, I didn't get a role that I really wanted, or, you know, any kind of obstacles or pitfalls that you might experience in your career, having a certain level of discipline to kind of overcome it and keep moving forward. So that's what the Air Force did for me. It gave me a great base for that.
Yeah, you've said that you've sort of pursued a number of military themed projects. And it's so funny that on This Is Us that there was such a really interesting plot line about Vietnam and about the sort of the effects of it. And then, you're sort of sidelined for that one. You're off to the side. In fact, I think that when you first met Jack, or Miguel says that he didn't serve. So,
That's right.
what's that experience like for you? I mean, just even being a part of a show that, did so much with it.
I had done two other shows before This Is Us. One was Generation Kill, HBO's Generation
Mhm.
Kill, which was based on a book, and we played Recon Marines, and I was one of the leads on the show. And I spent 8 months being a Marine for that show, and then when I started working on Castle, we developed the character of Esposito together and made him an Army veteran. And so sometimes as an actor, you have to say, I've got to depart from what people kind of see and know me as in order to uh, have a diverse career, and be able to do other things and play characters that aren't so familiar, that are a little more challenging. So it felt, it was nice to kind of watch Jack's, character deal with the trauma of war, and the trauma of losing a brother, or the idea that he lost a brother, to the audience. But it's nice to see them really take really good care of that storyline, that he would, by bringing in great advisors, military advisors, and surrounding Milo with people who had experience in the military. A lot of the background artists and other even actors, a couple of the actors were actual veterans. So they took care, and it was nice to just kind of stand back and watch that.
Mhm. So for Miguel, reading about how you're getting into the show, what you've really done with the character, so much of the show is the slow reveal. At first we don't know
hmm
what's the story there. Learning a little bit later on, the taboo episode. I think even though it's played out very slowly, it feels like recent, like that we're learning a lot throughout. So
Yeah.
what's it been like for you, sort of growing with the character?
It's been, I mentioned earlier, challenging, but in a way that it's gratifying. It's you, as an actor, you want to be challenged with the work that you are asked to do, because that makes it interesting. It gives you an end goal. And so at the beginning of the show, it was revealed that Miguel and Rebecca were married. And there were a lot of people that did not care for that storyline.
Hmm.
Didn't like the fact that Jack wasn't, you know, in Rebecca's life when she was older, and so they didn't care for the character. And so the challenge was, how do we get the audience to come around and actually maybe like Miguel and maybe root for him and Rebecca's love story. And so that was a challenge that was so, you know, so it was, I wanted that challenge, loved it. You know, let's see if we can, you know, change hearts and minds. And so the writers really worked hard to make sure that, you know, we took our time with that. We didn't give them too much. And you know, the one thing about television and about a series, if you give away too much too early, then people aren't as interested, and they might not follow the show as long as you want them to. And we had this goal of having people stick around for all 6 seasons, and I think we've pretty much succeeded. I don't think our audience has fallen off that much. In fact, I think we've gained a bigger audience since we started. And so yeah, I think that, you know, it was, you know, that challenge was not just for me as an actor. It was a challenge for the writers, but then it was also a challenge for the audience to stick around. Like, we challenged them to stick around to find out what, you know, how Miguel and Rebecca ended up together.
And Milo was someone that you said you'd known beforehand prior to the show. He's directed as well. And then Mandy, I think you had said that in a way you had inspired her to sort of take the reins to direct, and that she directed an episode that Chrissy had actually written too.
That's
So
right.
it's so interesting that everyone's sort of coming together in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I had known actually Justin and Sterling before I started, and I had met Milo once or twice before that, and thought it was really cool. And so it was, you know, it's just, you know, and everyone except for Sterling directed. He didn't really, I don't think he saw that as his calling. But he loves producing. He's a great producer. And Mandy, I think she, you know, when I directed the first time, she wasn't, I don't think she was sure if it's really something she was interested in. And then when she saw, I think, myself and Justin and Milo direct, and the gratification you get from being able to tell the story from the paper to the screen, I think she was like, yeah, I really want to try that. She's a very creative person. She's so smart, and she's a great director, in my opinion. I hope she sticks with it. But yeah, it's again, like, you know, I think actors, as directors, we have a way of talking to actors which is very easy. And also, you know, if you've worked quite a bit, then you do understand a story, and with social media, an actor has this direct line of communication with the fan base, and so you understand also what the fans want, what they're looking for, how they like to discover certain, you know, elements of a story when they watch every week. And so, you know, I think actors, we have that kind of intel that we can get from our audience because we're engaging with them on social media. So I think it's an actor becoming a director is a great, I think it's just, it's a great thing.
So I don't need to tell you about the tone of your show, but really when I'm rewatching, it feels safe, comfortable, familiar, but at the same time, you know, when you're doing time jumps and slow reveals, it's suspenseful as well. But you really fall into it. You really, every episode, I think, really just feels encompassing. What have been some of your favorite moments? What have been some of your favorite scenes? Some of your favorite things to do on the show?
My favorite, I mean, my favorite, my favorite episode is coming up. It's called Miguel. That has definitely been my favorite episode. But also before that, my favorite episodes, first of all, the pilot, and especially Justin's performance in the pilot, I really, really, really loved. But I loved the moment when Deja's mom decided to give Deja to Randall and Beth and say, you're going to have a better life with them than I can provide you. That was very moving, very touching for me, because it hit on a personal note for me. And then also Milo's mother's funeral is something that is very memorable. I really love that episode and loved you know, Milo's performance. I love the writing. I love the subject matter. Also touched on a personal note for me. And then I also really love the moment when Miguel tells Rebecca, he's got to go.
Mhm.
I like that one because Mandy and I were very, very connected in that scene when we shot it, and it was there was this electrical chemistry that was happening. It was very emotional, and so I love that. And then one of my all-time favorite moments happened this season last week when Rebecca sings the song
Mm.
that is, the melody is the theme song for This Is Us, and they
Mhm.
finally put lyrics to it, and she sang it, and none of us had heard it before, and so we wanted to wait and hear it for the first time when she performed it on set, and so it was very moving, very emotional, and um, yeah, I think they had the camera on me the first time I heard it, and so I was however I reacted, that was real.
Mm. So let's jump right into the Miguel episode, because even though the show is winding down, there's still some episodes to go. There's a lot of mystery still regarding Miguel in the
Mm.
future, in the present. And I imagine that this episode, won't solve everything, but will give a lot of insight into Miguel, because we don't know a lot. We don't know about certain times. We don't know a lot of the perspective. So what can you tell us about the episode coming up?
Well, I mean, I can tell you that there will be a lot of holes filled. There will
Mhm.
be a lot of connective tissue revealed, and there'll be a lot of background about Miguel and what kind of shaped him, and who he is, and why he is the way he is with regards to how he interacts with the Pearson family. It's all going to be. I mean, it's a very big episode. There's a lot in there. I don't know how much they're going to keep in, because our episodes can sometimes run long when you turn them in as the director, and you've got to shave it down to that 42-minute mark. I'm hoping they're going to let me get a copy of the director's cut.
Mhm.
We'll see, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna, it's definitely it's hitting lots of different time periods. uh I will say, I can't say too much about it. Well, I don't know when you're going to drop this, but I will say I
Gonna
had
wait until
46.
right of the I think either right before or just right after the episode. So
Okay, cool. I won't say something I'm not supposed to say. But I will say I had 46 costume changes, which I think may be a record on the show for any actor in one episode to have that many costume changes. I had 46 costume changes. It was a lot.
tell me about playing Miguel throughout different time periods. You call him time traveling. Do you play him differently? What's it like to play young Miguel, older Miguel, like present version of him? Like, what do you put into it? How do you sort of play the character differently throughout time?
Well, I think you know, when I when Rebecca and Miguel are kind of right after Jack's death, that's about the age I am now.
Mhm.
I might be a little younger, but that's easy. I mean, that's just bringing a lot of who I am into, because a lot of who Miguel is who I am. So bringing a lot of myself as I am into that period. But then, yeah, you have to, you can't do a caricature of it like an old man or a young
Mhm.
man. So, you kind of have to think about, I really have to use, like, in acting terms, they would say sense memory, but you really have to think about, I have to think about what was I like when I was 25 years old. Like and that's when Jack and Miguel meet. We live in that period
Mhm.
sometimes. And what was I like? What was my energy, my outlook? How and how to, like, how wide-eyed was I of the world? And I think, you just think about that, and you bring that kind of energy. And I think when you're younger, you talk a lot faster. You don't take your time as much. You step on other people's sentences because you're trying to get your point in there. You're trying to get your opinion in there, because when you're younger, when you're 25, you think all your opinion is the word. Like, when you're 25, you think you know everything, right?
Yeah.
And then when you're older, when you start getting into your late 50s, early 60s, 70s, even 80s, where I've gone with Miguel, you take your time, because you've made the mistakes that younger version of you made by not taking your time. and maybe saying something you shouldn't say. So I think when you get older, and you're wiser and you've gone through life, you take your time before you say anything. You take your time before you don't want to stand up too fast because you get dizzy and fall down, or your knees just don't work as well as they used to. I mean, when I was younger, I could literally like spring out of my chair and bounce all over the room. But I have had 2 knee injuries, and I do have not so great knees. I have to be careful. I don't want to blow them out again. So I get up, at the pace that I know is safe for me. And people, when they get to a certain age, they focus on those types of things. So that's, just have to think about all that stuff and bring it in. Like in the episode that we saw, the first wedding episode, Kate's wedding episode, that's when we introduced that Miguel has been taking blood pressure medicine and other medicines that can sometimes cause people to have a little bit of a tremor. And it's just something that happens with people who age, especially that have thinner blood, and they have their nerves and everything, and it's and medication can affect all of that stuff. And so you just have to remember, like, all right, your hand isn't so steady when you're older. It just isn't. And you have to just kind of work that in. And so yeah, it's a lot of it's physicality that helps to be that age. It's not necessarily like, the voice is higher when you talk faster when you're younger, and your voice is higher, and then when you get older and you take your time, you get more grounded, so your voice can get grounded too, grounded deeper into your chest. So that's the kind of stuff that I did. Mandy and I talked a lot about that at the very beginning, and I know, incorporated a lot of the taking her time with things when she's elder, Miguel.
So you bring up,
and she said she has that fantastic smile. So when she's younger, I think she just uses that smile all the time. And that makes, that's what I think her younger energy brings, is like just a smile, and she's happy about life and about everything. And that's what's different than, the middle-aged Rebecca's, dealing with tragedy still, the death of Jack. So she doesn't smile as much. And then we've got a different type of Mandy. And then when she's older,
you bring up a lot of the small things that people latch on to. You've mentioned it. You're obviously very aware, cognizant of the fan base and how rabid they are, and how they also like to come up with theories too as to what's to happen. Have you had a favorite fan theory that you've heard, or a favorite fan moment, or something where they've come close to guessing and then it turns out to be true or near true? Like, how do you feel about the fan base with the show?
There's been some crazy theories, like there are people that theorize that Miguel caused the death of Jack or stole Miguel from him. But there's one time we were doing, I think it was a Paley event. We were on stage as a cast, and they did something where they were letting the audience kind of guess how Jack died, I think, and someone like nailed it, basically said, "Oh, he burns in a house fire."
How would they know that?
He dies in a house. Somebody said,
he
dies in a house fire. And we were like, oh, no, that's ridiculous. Come on now. But we were all like, backstage, like, holy shit, they kind of nailed it. Although he didn't actually die in the house fire. The house fire caused a heart attack later on. So a widowmaker.
How would you even think to come up with that? How could you even theorize that?
I guess, maybe people were just naming off how either their parents died or their friend's parent died or something. I don't know, but it was crazy. It was pretty, we could not believe that they guessed it.
What's it like to do a show like this and then to wrap it up, to have, 6 amazing years that are culminating in this show, seeing its way to the end? Not a lot of shows get a chance to do that. And then for you, you were talking about how you're going to be bringing in the directing. That's something that's really interesting to you, the work you're doing with your producing partners, certainly. What has it meant to you to have these 6 years and to culminate in ending the show?
Well, it's awesome that we get to end it the way we want to end it. That's I think what a lot of us are getting out of it, is that we get to, we didn't just get canceled, and people wonder, how you know, how does it end? Or some made up ending that, you know, that's somehow, you know, quickly shot or something. I mean, we were able to end the story the absolute way we wanted to end it. That Dan had a plan from the beginning, and so like to be a part of that is really gratifying, to be able to say like, yeah, we went out the way we wanted to go out. And I mean, I'm happy. I mean, it's bittersweet. I'm happy that we're ending it this way. I'm happy that we get to do that. I'm happy that I get to say goodbye to people in, you know, in reality, instead of saying like, oh, I'll see you after the hiatus or whatever. I get to say, we did this for 6 years. It was amazing. You guys were amazing. Like, what a great crew, what a great cast. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. We get to do that. And so I'm, you know, I'm not ecstatic that we're ending, but I'm ecstatic that, you know, that we accomplished an amazing goal.
So what have your pursuits meant? You said during the pandemic, you've become a beekeeper, which is pretty incredible. You know, you've got the
Yeah.
directing, the acting, the travel, there's the ethical travel. There's so much else that you involved in, that you're working on. So what does that mean to you to sort of have your hands at different pots, you know, to be working on different things?
I mean, you know, it's I just kind of look at myself like I get bored too easily. I just start doing something to, you know, take up some time. And maybe it's a little bit of a ADHD that's gone undiagnosed or something. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I love just trying everything. I feel like life is really short. Um, uh, and you know, this is where heaven is. We're living in it right now. If there is a heaven, we're living in it now. I'm not gonna, you know, whatever I do in life, it's not gonna be for some afterlife, because there may not be one. So let me try to do everything that makes me happy, or that makes me excited, or that challenges me now while I can. So if I want to mess with some bees, I'm gonna mess with some bees. If I'm going to you know, ride horses every Friday, that's what I do. If I playing polo tomorrow night, if I go flying, you know, learn to fly helicopters, learn to fly airplane. Like, I just want to do everything. I'm a diver. I love you know, I love our planet's, you know, ecosystem, and all the different ecosystems. So I explore as much as I can, from, you know, the jungles in Belize and Mexico to you know, the waters off the coast of South Africa. So, you know, it's like, why not try to pack it all in and figure out how to do it and travel, and then and also just spend all your money before you die. I don't have any kids, so I don't have anybody to leave anything to. But also, you know, kids need to make their own way anyway. They make their own money to make their own way. So, you know, spend the money, spend your, you know, wealth is, or knowledge is wealth, really. So everything I'm trying gives me another like leg up knowledge wise. You know, and sometimes the knowledge is, you're not very good at this, don't try it again. So, you know, build that up, and that's wealth. So that, you know, so it doesn't mean, wealth doesn't mean having like all of these things, all these material things. Wealth is, I think, knowledge.
So I've really appreciated speaking with you. I just want to ask you one more thing, because I mean, the episode coming up is Miguel, and who knows Miguel better than you know Miguel? So you've given us a little preview. I'm not going to get too much into it, but I want to know again, sort of, what do you think to look out for? You know, since we're going to have this before, you could just give us a little taste. You know, your show's full of Easter eggs. What are some things to be looking out for in the Miguel episode?
I think, you know, look out for what Miguel kind of had to go through being an outsider, not just of the Pearson family, not just an outsider of the Pearson family, but just you know, an outsider. I grew up as an outsider. I've been, you know, and I have been, like, you know, most of my life an outsider, different. One of the things I, you know, like to think about is, you know, I didn't fit into a box growing up, especially the ones they wanted us to check off, and certain types of, you know, job applications, the census and things like that. I didn't fit into a box, but I'm glad I didn't, and I shouldn't try to put myself in a box. And so I give, that's the kind of advice I give to anybody who's young and who feels like an outsider, feels different. You feel like you don't fit into a box, that's a good thing. Don't let them keep you in a box. Be whatever makes you happy. Go after whatever you want. Do whatever you want to do.
Great way to put it. I've really appreciated hearing from you, and I wish you the best with the episode, the show, whatever your pursuits take you. I think that's such a great approach.
Thanks, man. It was great to meet you, brother.